Hello and welcome to Talk Time English.
My name is Mike.
And I'm Emma.
And we're very happy to be back with you today. How are you, Emma?
I'm fine, thank you, Mike. I'm a little tired today, but okay. How are you?
I'm very well today, and I'm looking forward to visiting Australia with you.
Yes, me too. Today we're finding out about the most famous animal in Australia.
Excellent. Let's get started then. Today we're listening to Matthew from Australia, and we're focusing on the words much, many, and a lot of today.
Okay, let's have a listen to the text then. Over to you, Matthew.
What's the first animal that comes to your mind when you think of Australia? The kangaroo, of course. Kangaroos, or roos as Australians call them, are animals from the macropod family. Macropod means big foot, and kangaroos certainly do have big feet. They also have a lot of power in their legs, which means that they can hop very high and very fast. Sometimes they can hop at 70 kilometers per h. They are the only big mammals to use hopping to move around instead of walking or running. Kangaroos are native to Australia, so there aren't many kangaroos in other countries because they only live in zoos. But in Australia, there are around 50 million kangaroos and only 25 million people. Most of them live in quiet areas far from towns and cities, but locals say that in most parts of the country, you don't have to wait for much time to see one. In fact, the kangaroo population is growing very fast, and roos are now considered to be pests. A lot of Australians don't have much patience for kangaroos, and the Australian government kills some kangaroos every year to make sure that the numbers don't get out of control. The meat from these kangaroos is exported to a lot of countries around the world, and for a lot of Australians, it is a healthy alternative to other meat because it doesn't contain much fat. Although they are sometimes annoying, Australians are very proud of roos. They are the national animal, and there aren't many Australian businesses and products which don't use pictures of kangaroos in advertising. You can see kangaroos on the logos of airlines, government organisations, and even the Australian Army. So if you visit Australia, get ready to see lots of kangaroos.
Another very interesting text. I would love to go to Australia. Have you ever seen a kangaroo, Mike?
No, I have never seen a kangaroo. I have been to Australia, but I've never seen a kangaroo.
I've only seen a kangaroo in a zoo.
Okay, shall we go through the text?
Good idea. Let's read through the text and talk about the language that we find. Would you like to read, Mike?
Okay. What's the first animal that comes to your mind when you think of Australia?
Yes, so your mind, that is your brain, isn't it?
Yeah. So what's the first animal that comes into your head when you think of Australia?
The kangaroo, of course. Kangaroos, or roos as Australians call them, are animals from the macropod family. Macropod means Bigfoot, and kangaroos certainly do have big feet.
Yes, and they do have big feet. Remember that feet is the plural of foot, and it's an irregular plural. So, 1 foot, 2 feet.
That's right. We don't say 2 foots. End of versant, number.
Okay. They also have a lot of power in their legs, which means they can hop very high and very fast. Sometimes they can hop at 70 kilometers per hour.
Yes. So in this sentence, we have the first example of our language point for today. They also have a lot of power. A lot of means a great number of, or a great quantity of.
Okay. So they have a great quantity of power in their legs. A lot of power in their legs. And that means they can hop very high and very fast.
Yes. So hop means the same as jump, and kangaroos can jump very high. High is the opposite of low, of course. And sometimes they can hop at 70 kilometers per hour. That is very fast indeed.
They are the only big mammals to use hopping to move around instead of walking or running.
Yes. They are the only big mammals. What's a mammal, Mike?
A mammal is an animal that feeds its babies on milk from its body.
Yes. So humans are mammals too.
Yes. So kangaroos are the only big mammals which use hopping to move around instead of walking or running.
What does instead of mean, Mike?
It's like saying in place of. So they hop rather than, or in place of walking or running.
That's right. Let's continue.
Kangaroos are native to Australia. So there aren't many kangaroos in other countries because they only live in zoos.
Yes. So kangaroos are native to Australia. Native means that they live naturally in Australia.
Okay, so the kangaroos grow naturally in Australia. And there aren't many kangaroos in other countries.
Yes. So there aren't many kangaroos in other countries. Remember, aren't means are not. So the words not many, this means not a big number of kangaroos.
Earlier, we saw the phrase a lot of power in their legs. So not many is kind of the opposite of a lot of.
Okay. There aren't many kangaroos in other countries because they only live in zoos. But in Australia, there are around 50 million kangaroos and only 25 million people.
Yes, that is a lot of kangaroos, 2 kangaroos for every person.
Wow. Most of them live in quiet areas far from towns and cities. But locals say that in most parts of the country, you don't have to wait for much time to see one.
Yes. So locals say locals are the people who live in an area. The local people.
Okay. And the locals say that you don't have to wait for much time to see a kangaroo.
So, not much time. This has a similar meaning to not many.
Not many kangaroos. Not much time. Not a big amount of time.
Okay, so what's the difference between not much and not many?
Good question. We use not many with countable nouns, and we use not much with uncountable nouns.
So a countable noun is something that we can count in numbers, like kangaroos.
Exactly. 1 kangaroo, 5 kangaroos, 10 kangaroos.
Okay, but what's an uncountable noun, Emma?
That would be something like coffee, water, rice, or money.
That's right. Something which we can't count in numbers. We don't say 1 water, 10 waters. It's just water in general.
Okay. Good. Let's continue.
In fact, the kangaroo population is growing very fast, and roos are now considered to be pests.
That's an interesting word.
Yes, it is. A pest is something very annoying, very irritating. Usually, we use it for animals, maybe insects, which are a problem.
That's right. So an animal which can cause damage to plants or food.
That's right. So maybe if you have rats in your house, they are pests.
Yes, definitely. Unless you have pet rats, which is different.
That's right. That would be different.
Okay. Can we also use pest to talk about a person?
We can. We would use this in a kind of funny way. So if you have a younger brother or sister who is very annoying, you could describe them as a pest.
Okay, let's continue.
A lot of Australians don't have much patience for kangaroos, and the Australian government kills some kangaroos every year to make sure that the numbers don't get out of control.
Good. We have a lot of things to talk about in this sentence. Let's go back to the beginning.
A lot of Australians don't have much patience for kangaroos, and the Australian government kills some kangaroos every year to make sure that the numbers don't get out of control.
Good. We have a lot of things to talk about in this sentence. Let's go back to the beginning.
A lot of Australians. So here we have a lot of again, meaning a big number of Australians.
Now, Mike, the last time that we saw a lot of power. What's the difference between a lot of power and a lot of Australians?
Well, power is uncountable, and Australians are countable.
Exactly. We can count Australians. There are 25 million Australians in Australia.
So, does this mean that we can use a lot of with both countable and uncountable nouns?
Exactly. That's right. We use a lot of in affirmative, positive sentences with both countable and uncountable nouns.
But with not many and not much. There is a difference between countable and uncountable.
Okay. So a lot of Australians don't have much patience.
Not much patience. Patience is an uncountable noun.
Okay. And patience is the quality of being able to stay calm and not get angry.
Yes. So, if you are a teacher or a parent of a child, you must have a lot of patience.
You must be patient, that's the adjective.
That's right. And if you've got an annoying pest of a brother or sister, sometimes you have to be patient too.
Absolutely. You need a lot of patience.
Okay, so later in this sentence we have, the Australian government kills some kangaroos every year to make sure that the numbers don't get out of control.
To make sure means to be certain that the numbers don't get out of control.
What's out of control, Emma?
Okay. If something is out of control, it means that you cannot control it. You cannot manage the numbers of kangaroos.
That's right. Let's continue. Sometimes kangaroos can be dangerous too. They often jump in front of cars, and this causes many accidents.
Oh dear. So kangaroos sometimes jump in front of cars. That means they move suddenly into the road, and cars can hit them.
Yes, and this causes many accidents. So cause is the verb that means make something happen. The kangaroos cause accidents when they jump in front of cars.
That's not good for the kangaroos, or for the cars or drivers.
Definitely not. Let's go on. Kangaroos are also a popular symbol of Australia, and you can see them on coins, on planes, and on many Australian logos.
That's right. The kangaroo is one of the national animals of Australia. You'll even find it on the coat of arms, which is like a national logo or emblem.
And you can see them on coins. That's the money. And on planes, like the logo of the airline Qantas. And many logos, which are symbols used by companies or organizations.
So kangaroos are both loved and sometimes annoying.
Exactly. They're an important part of Australian culture, but they also cause a few problems.
Well, I think they're very cute.
I agree. So, shall we review some of the grammar and vocabulary we learned today?
Great idea. Let's start with our grammar focus. A lot of, not many, and not much.
We use a lot of with both countable and uncountable nouns in positive sentences.
For example, there are a lot of kangaroos in Australia. Countable. Kangaroos have a lot of power in their legs. Uncountable.
But when we want to say the opposite, that there is a small amount, we say not many with countable nouns, and not much with uncountable nouns.
Like these. There aren't many kangaroos in other countries. Countable. Australians don't have much patience for kangaroos. Uncountable.
Let's remember some new words and phrases from today's episode.
Hop. To jump with both feet. Mammal. An animal that feeds milk to its babies, like humans and kangaroos. Pest. An animal or person that is annoying or causes problems. Patience. The ability to stay calm and not get angry. Out of control. When something cannot be managed or controlled. Symbol. Something that represents a country, idea, or group. Logo. A visual design used by companies or groups.
And that's all for today. We hope you enjoyed learning about kangaroos with us.
Join us next time for another episode of Coffee Break English.